Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jacob Soboroff for Why Tuesday, coming to you today from my house in California. But we're not going to be here for all that long because we're cruising off to Iowa at the end of the week to try and catch up with all of the presidential candidates who have not yet responded to the Why Tuesday Candidate Challenge. That was our challenge to all of them to lay out their plan in a video response so you guys can all see it for making America's voting system more secure, more reliable, and more accessible. We're going to Iowa because that's where the candidates are going to be, probably, because that's where the Iowa Caucus happens, which is the first presidential nominating process in the entire U.S. That's why we always see presidential candidates making their case to Iowans so often about why they should be the next president of the United States. If you're not from Iowa like me, you probably don't know much about what the caucus system is all about. So we thought in this week's episode of Why Tuesday we would kind of run through it here and explain it to you. The caucus system is unique and different from the traditional primary system that you see in states like New Hampshire. Community members are going to gather at local schools and churches and other meeting places to support their favorite candidate, and the format of the event depends on which political party is running the caucus. Iowa is divided into counties, and those counties are divided into precincts. Each precinct has a set number of delegates to assign, so we're going to say our example precinct has 6 delegates. To keep things simple, we're going to say we only have 10 caucus goers in our precinct, but in reality, you could have 100 or 500 caucus goers at a precinct, but you still only have a fixed number of delegates, and the math would be the same. For the Republicans, the process is pretty straightforward. You come in, you vote, usually through a secret ballot, and the percentages of the group supporting each candidate decides what delegates will go on to the county convention. The Democratic Party process is a bit more complicated. So let's say you have 6 candidates running for the Democratic nomination. In some cases, the first step is that supporters make their pitch to the other caucus goers for their favorite candidate. At the very least, the campaigns will be putting stickers on their supporters' shirts and pointing them in the right direction as they enter the caucus site. Next, caucus goers indicate their support for a particular candidate by standing in a designated area, forming what's known as a preference group. There may even be an area for undecided participants. Each group's counted and a percentage of support is calculated. Now here's a unique feature to the caucus. At this point, the caucus officials determine which candidates are viable. Depending on the number of county delegates to be elected, the viability threshold can be anywhere from 15 to 25% of attendees. For our example, any candidate polling less than 15% is declared unviable, and those persons must realign to a viable candidate or declare that they are undecided. Then, participants try and convince their neighbors to support their candidates. Each preference group might informally deputize a few members to recruit supporters from the other groups, and in particular from among those undecided. Undecided participants might visit each preference group to ask its members about their candidate. This is another feature that's totally unique to the Iowa caucus. You don't see anything like the electioneering that goes on in Iowa in states with primary systems like the one in New Hampshire. And also, caucus goers are really good at convincing undecided folks to support their candidate. After 30 minutes, the electioneering is temporarily halted. Supporters go back to their preference group and a new count's taken. When all the candidates left are still considered viable, then the caucus is over and the delegates are assigned based on their percentage of support. Now, technically, all of these delegates advance to the county convention, which is actually only the second step in the caucus process. But, for the purposes of the media and for the campaigns, a winner can and usually is determined on caucus night, and that's the candidate that gets the most votes. Here are a couple other fun facts. There will be 1,784 of these events taking place all over Iowa on caucus night. Men make up 58% of Republican caucus goers. Women make up 62% of Democratic caucus goers. This will be the first caucus for roughly 25% of 2008 caucus goers. Nearly 1/2 of those taking part are baby boomers between the ages of 42 and 61. The night of the caucus, it's not unusual for the temperature to be in the teens or 20s. That's pretty cold, so you really want to have to go out, but the campaigns will also do everything they can to get you there. And as it stands now, the Republicans will be caucusing on January 3rd. The Democrats, on the other hand, are still deciding. I hope that gave you a better idea of what the Iowa caucus is all about. Stay tuned here to our videos by subscribing to our videos or by signing up for our email list at whytuesday.org. We put a new episode up every Tuesday all about exploring the state of America's voting system in hopes that we can help increase voter participation and voter turnout. We'd love you to be involved. Stay tuned, and we'll talk to you guys next week from Iowa. See you later.